Super Mario Wonder is the latest and greatest Mario game from Nintendo with lots of secrets, fun mechanics, and new enemies. The core focus of the game is, of course, the Wonder Flower and the Wonder Seeds. You know how it goes. You grab a Wonder Flower, a lot of crazy stuff happens in the world, and you grab a Wonder Seed as a prize for surviving the madness. In the main game, grabbing these Wonder Seeds is almost always optional, as you're allowed to beat most levels without them, but that wasn't the case with the Special World. The Special World was designed to have the player grab the Wonder Flower as a requirement to beat the level. Many people have seen videos of at least one special level that is beatable without the Wonder Flower, but how many more are there? I can tell you there's at least one more, one that was so challenging that it took me hours and hours to finally beat. I'm going to show you exactly how I did what Nintendo never intended to be possible. This is the No Wonder Challenge. Starting off at the beginning with Pipe Rock Plateaus, bounce, bounce, bounce. The first Special World level is pretty straightforward. If you get the Wonder Flower, you grab it and suddenly there's a giant Hoppo falling out of the sky. You ride him across the level as you collect the flower coins, and eventually you get the Wonder Seed. At least that's the intended way. Now, the better way to do it is to grab the drill power-up along with the parachute cap badge, hop right over the Wonder Flower, and you can use the parachute cap to just glide from platform to platform. As you make your way across, you'll eventually get to where there's land up top, jump and get the coin and go straight into the top of the level. You'll be rewarded with a unique sound bite. This sound effect was programmed in by the developers to reward people who got here without using the Wonder Flower, but that won't be the case for all of the levels. We're 1 for 1 without using the Wonder Flower. Yet how many more special levels can we beat this way? The next level is Fluff Puff Peak Special Climb to the Beat. The intended route is to grab the Wonder Flower and escape the poison which is rising by bouncing off these Tetris blocks. It gets harder and harder, and a really difficult level. So can you actually beat it without using the Wonder Flower? After trying many different methods, I decided that the Bubble Flower power-up was the best way. I jumped on top of the bubble and I used a safety bounce to make sure I had a little extra room to spare. I found out that it's actually not possible, so we grabbed the Wonder Flower and decided to do a different cool trick. But even this trick that's used in Jump 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 doesn't really work either because you run into the end of the stage. Too bad. That's 1 and 1 for the No Wonder Challenge. The third level is Shining Falls Triple Threat Deluge. This one starts off like the original Mario. It has a really awesome, unique take on the first level of Mario Bros. 1-1. However, when you get to the Wonder Flower, you realize that there's really no way around it. The screen is not scrolling, and there's no way that you can actually jump between the space there. So unfortunately, there's no way we could beat this one without the Wonder Flower. We're 1 and 2 in the No Wonder Challenge. The fourth level from the Sunbaked Desert Pole Block Allure is something special. This one starts off with the Bubble Flower power-up, and you're intended to get the Wonder Flower right here. Once you do that, it activates all these pole blocks and everything goes crazy. It's one of the more fun special levels, and it's not too incredibly difficult as long as you're using the Wonder Flower. You just have to watch out for all the enemies coming right at you. Then when you get near the end, there's this big vertical section you climb up, jump on top of this big green guy, and you'll eventually be able to get the Wonder Seed and beat the level. The big question for this one is, will the auto-scroll continue or stop? This is the only one where the screen continuously goes, but is that going to stop after we move past the Wonder Flower part? And even if we're able to move past that, is there some way we can get over these big gaps? I decided to start with the parachute cap, and there's some good news. The screen does keep scrolling, but how in the world are we going to get across this giant gap? A lot of times I accidentally ran into the Wonder Flower as I was trying to go across, and I kept racking my brain thinking maybe we could get the Bubble Flower power-up with the chute cap. So I kept trying to jump on the bubbles, but it was extremely difficult. Each time I failed, I had to wait for the auto-scroll, which took so much time to get this even moving in the right direction. So I decided to try a new badge, the Floating High Jump. Surely this one would go better as it gives us more time, and we're able to jump off a few more bubbles, but it's still not easy. Yet I wasn't going to give up. We're jumping one bubble, next bubble, the next one. We can wall jump to reset our high jump, but it's just not easy at all. After a lot of time and a lot of patience, I was able to get better and better, jumping off the bubbles, bouncing off the walls, and using what I had available with the high jump to just make it to this platform. At the top of the platform, the next section's actually not too difficult. You have a few blooms and a cloud which you can stand on even when there's no Wonder Sequence activated. Before, there were all these pole blocks moving up and down, but it doesn't really give you that much of an advantage. It's easy to just keep jumping off these green blooms and progressing in the level, but now we have a problem, as there's just a giant gap here. I tried again and again with this floating high jump, but there's just no way that we can move up this gap, and unfortunately, there's going to be a vertical scroll after this. I looked hard through all the badges to see if anything would work, and I decided maybe the safety bounce would work. It was here that I made one of my biggest breakthroughs in this challenge. I found out you could chain the safety bounce with the bubble flower power-up, something I call safety bubble bouncing. The name could use a little bit of work. If you have a better idea, please comment it down below. Using this method, I was able to get back to this green bloom section no problem. It was a lot easier and more consistent than using the high jump. Although this new strategy gave me a new hope, it took so long to just get back to this section each time and try to navigate the vertical auto scroll. The bubbles would start to fly off the bottom of the screen, and there were so many obstacles. Again and again and again, hours and hours, I had to restart as I failed in many different ways. The blooms were getting in the way, the blocks were moving too far apart, the auto scroll was moving too fast, and it was all too bad. I decided to go back to the Wonderflower sequence to see how far I had left to go and give myself some hope. I was getting further and further with each failed attempt, and I finally got to collect the third and final flower coin, yet I couldn't quite make it. Until I got to the very top. On top of the blocks, I found the path that I needed to take, jump off the blocks, reset the safety bounce, try to get the bubbles up. Oh, and I've never been this high before. There's the final block. No. After days of attempting, getting so close was too painful for me to bear. But then it was a new day, my friends, and I had new inspired hope. I had gotten more consistently further than ever, and I was giving myself just 3 more attempts on this day until I was going to shut off the game because it was testing my patience yet again. Yet this run felt like no other run. I finally got to the vertical section and I was getting pushed around by the blooms, but I was learning to use it to my advantage like a judo match. I didn't quite collect the third coin, but I was able to wall jump off all of these. I was getting some lucky bubbles and very lucky bounces. I was able to reset in the perfect place and jump at the last possible second. And finally I had been to uncharted territory, to the top. I made it to the cloud, and I was so excited. Up here there was no secret dialogue from the Wonderflower or secret little goodies that you would find in other hidden places because the developers probably truly didn't know this was possible. Finally, we beat it after days. We're 2-2. Halfway through the challenge, are there any other levels we can possibly beat without the Wonderflower? Let's head into Dangerous Donut Ride and see what we can do. This one's a super fun level where you ride the donut blocks down as you avoid these little Sparkies, which I haven't seen since Super Mario World, and eventually you work your way down to get the Wonderflower in the middle. I tried all I could, but there's no way we can actually avoid that Wonderflower, and you can grab the seed at the bottom for the victory. But unfortunately, it's not a victory for us. In the Deep Magma Bog Solar Roller, I had my hopes up yet again. I saw this brick wall here, and I knew that there were ways that you could smash through the brick. So I grabbed the drill power-up, which didn't really do much, but I also brought along my elephant power-up, and this is where we felt truly powerful, smashing through the bricks, ground pounding and destroying them. But unfortunately, another scroll lock. Nintendo saw this coming, that the bricks were there, so they stopped the screen from moving yet again and thwarted us completely. Once I got to the end, I rode the dragons like a roller coaster, grabbed the Wonder Seed, and admitted defeat. So far, we've only been able to get into 2 of the 6 special levels, but our hopes are still high as we head into the Way of the Goomba. Unfortunately, look at that, yet again another scroll lock and another unavoidable Wonderflower. I tried all I could using special badges and power-ups. There's just no way that we can go over or under without hacking the game, and even if we could make it over there, we can't avoid that scroll lock yet again. So I accepted my Goomba fate, and I headed to the Wonder Seed. 2 and 5. Spoiler alert, once you beat enough of the special world levels and collect the Wonder Seeds, you'll be able to unlock the semi-final test. But what about this one? Would Nintendo actually have an oversight and allow us to beat this without the Wonderflower? There's only one way we can find out. I headed into this one and jumped over the piranhas. It wasn't long until we found the Wonderflower here. It doesn't look like there's a scroll lock, but Unfortunately, when I tried to jump over, the screen did not move with me. No matter what I tried, even with the safety bounce, that screen was stuck right in place and it wasn't budging yet again. It seems like they use this tactic in most of the special levels to force you to go into the Wonder sequence, and eventually grabbing the Wonder Seed and going 2 and 6. There's just one level remaining, and that's the final test Wonder Gauntlet. There is one after this, but it doesn't have any Wonder Flowers. This level's a little unique because it just has the Wonder Flower sitting on a pipe, and I always wondered if you could somehow get into the pipe or activate the level some other way. Obviously it has another scroll lock, so you can't get over. Although I tested it as much as I could, there was no way to do it without the Wonder Flower. So I grabbed it, grabbed the stars, got the final Wonder Seed in this challenge, and admitted defeat there too. So overall, we were only able to get 2 out of the 8 levels beat with the No Wonder challenge. That's still more than I thought at the beginning, and I'm so excited that I found one that probably not many people have beat without the Wonder Flower. Give it a try for yourself and let me know down below if you are able to beat it. Also, let me know if there's any other challenges you'd like to see with Mario Wonder or another Mario game. Until next time, stay wonderful and God bless.